What's up, everybody? So it's been a while since made a video. I got this cool new hat at the gym today for free. I don't know if you can see it, but it says, let's see if we can get it. It says, there we go. It says badass. It's a badass new hat. And I got it from the gym today. We got them delivered for free. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a cool hat. But I didn't see the writing. And I kind of like that it's not so clear. It's kind of dark, so you can't really see it. And Badass is a fight promotion company in Jakarta, Indonesia, which for me makes this hat a lot more meaningful and cooler because there are a few people at my gym who train and fight in this promotion. So that's kind of cool. So I'm really happy about my new hat. And let's make a video. So I have some notes here about what I wanted to make this video on, but I wanted to start off with something else first. I haven't worn a hat in a while, so getting getting it perfect. So yeah, what I wanted to talk about was social competitiveness. I don't know if this is just me. I doubt it's just me. I'm sure this is happening to everyone all around the world. Have you ever noticed that when you're with one person on their own, that they can be extremely different to when the same person is in a group? And I'm sure we've all experienced this. You may be with someone who's super cool to be with when you're on your own with them, but as soon as there's a group, they can turn into a dick. It's very natural. There's nothing wrong with this. Again, like I want to make that very clear from the beginning that this is totally okay. This is natural. This is social competitiveness, is what I'm calling it. I'm sure there's a name for it out there, but it's how when it's one on one, and usually, if you look at everything in the universe, it's always two. There's night and day, there's up and down, there's positive and negative. There's always two. And even like if you look at a molecular, atomic level, a lot of cells and things, there's always this two. There's two things, pulling each other. There's the yin and then there's the yang. So whenever there's two people, usually if these two people, are communicating for long enough and get along, it can be a very energizing, powerful unit that develops. But as soon as a third person is introduced into this group, there is usually this tendency for uh, competitiveness to start to come. Why? Because these two are never going to be exactly equal unless they're twins. But even I would argue that even if you're twins, you're going to be slightly different, and there's always going to be one that's stronger, one that's more dominant, and the one that's less dominant, um, there is often a tendency for the one that's less dominant to feel threatened by a third person into the group. And then I'm not going to go into everything because I would hope that many of you out there can kind of like put the dots together and finish the story. That politics can ensue, competitiveness can ensue, backstabbing can ensue, fakeness can ensue. Okay, but it's not all gloom and doom and gloom. Okay, because um, at the end of the day, like a group is a reflection of the leader, the alpha, the most dominant person in the group. And if there's a good leader, a good alpha, uh, could be female, could be male, but like whoever's in charge, if that person is a good leader, then the entire group can become like one unit, can become like a family. And what do I mean by a good leader? A good alpha is someone that cares for everyone in the family equally and realizes that the family, the whole group, the pack, the wolf pack, is way stronger when every member of the pack is feeling secure, feeling respected, feeling loved, feeling needed. Okay? So, in order to be a good leader, that's what a good leader will be focused on. So, everyone in the group will have their, it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle. Everyone will have their purpose, and you know, everyone's going to have their positive and negative, their strength and their weakness. But at the end of the day, that's what a good leader does: is transcends his or her feelings, personal feelings of a person, and is more interested in the whole group and keeping everyone, and respect is always a huge tool for that. I've talked in my videos about how I can sometimes value respect more than love because with respect, if you're operating on respect, you're going to respect everyone. A good teacher, a good trainer, a good leader will respect everyone, focus on the good in everyone, and try to nurture and grow that good and the strength that they see within their pack, within their group. And respect is always like key central thing to doing that effectively. If you start to get into like too much, oh, I like this, or I don't like this, or I love this person, or I don't love this person, then it can get, I don't think it's as effective. Love is also amazing, but I think respect is important because sometimes if you focus too much on love and doing what you love, you can sometimes go out, you can kind of like step on people's toes and lose sight of respect. So it's good to keep harmony or balance when thinking of these things, as I always say. So respect, is important, and like again, the what I'm what I want to keep focused on in this video is about is how social dynamics, what's going on, and what happens when there's a group of people. Not all the time. Like, of course, if you meet the right people, find the right groups, and like I said, like find somewhere that has a good leader because it's always going to trickle down from the leader. You know, I mean, it's not always the case. Sometimes you have great leaders who maybe slip up and they might have people in there. It's never going to be perfect, but usually a good leader will be the strongest in some way, whether it's physically, creatively, mentally. There's a strength that has caused this person to be the leader, the more dominant one. And then the leader kind of takes care of everyone. Makes sure that everyone is being respected, that everyone is cool with each other, and the leader basically sets the culture for the group, sets the culture, sets the expectations, kind of sets the rules, a little bit, sets the boundaries, and then everyone operates within that. And I once was before I started doing my own thing and started working in my pajamas and my boxer shorts, doing my label and my own business online. Before all that, I believe it or not, I had a corner office desk job. I'm not going to say it's 9 to 5. It was more like 7 to sometimes 10 or 11. And it was like, entertainment business. So it was like an ad agency, very, very, always a lot of fires, a lot of things. But, I had a really good paying job, but, you know, it's things change, and you've got to embrace. And for me, what was a big part of not being interested in the work was just the daily politics, the fact that maybe I was doing 2 hours, if that, of solid work, and the rest of the day was spent a lot of politics, a lot of meetings, a lot of just people trying to show each other how strong and tough they are. And remember, yeah, like a lot of the politics and stuff comes from insecurity, comes from fear, and like I said, it stems from leadership. So the leader's job is to make everyone feel like they belong, that this is all one family. And um, the place that I remember I was working at did for sure didn't have this. And leaders can sometimes slip up. And but yeah, respect is super important. And I want to talk about how sometimes in groups it tends to be like I have found when you're in a group that doesn't have a great leader. You're not always going to have like a great dominant person who's going to keep everyone cool, keep everyone humble. And that's what a good leader, I think, does is they get to the top, but then when they're at the top and they're strong enough to reach the top, they also show humility, they show respect for everyone, and then that teaches and creates a really good culture. Um, Otherwise, if there isn't that good, strong, dominating energy or person, what can happen is, have you noticed ever, like, when you're in a group, people talking so fast and so loud, and it's almost like a competition of who can get their words in, and, you know, um, even like I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast a few weeks ago, and it was that they were all talking so loud, so fast. Who's going to get in next? Who's the dominant one? And those guys, especially Joe Rogan, feed off that strength and that competition, and it drives them. It's not a bad thing. They look at it in a good way. But I remember even at one point, someone was trying to get in on the conversation. Joe Rogan said something like, "This is Shark Tank. You better be, fast." And so this happens a lot, but I think a big part of the reason why people talk so fast and so loud, rather than just slow and nice, and you know, rather than taking your time and talking slowly, which is much more pleasant, and really, what's the rush? Um, I think the one big reason for it is because we watch a lot of TV and we watch a lot of radio, and a lot of the hosts, a lot of commercials, a lot of people who talk in the commercials, the voice actors, or the hosts, for news shows or TV shows. Time is money in the entertainment business. So, you've got 30 seconds to do sometimes like an interview and, kind of give a background story. So you go out and talk fast. So a lot of them talk super fast. If you watch the news anchors, they talk really fast and very clearly and very loud. So imagine you're raised watching this from a baby. You're watching TV, getting used to how these people talk, even in movies and in sitcoms. They have to talk fast because it's a 30-minute show, so they have to try to like create a story, a big story, in a very short amount of time. They can't go slow, and it makes everyone's expectations that that's how we should talk to each other too, fast, strong, all of this kind of stuff. And I'm not a fan of that. So when I'm out in public and I'm in groups, I like to, speak slowly and, at a nice pace. But I find that sometimes people lose concentration or lose their ability to stay focused because people are used to fast, loud, Yeah, so how this links into social competitiveness is that if you are in an environment, like let's say you're two people and you're getting along and everything's cool, and then a third person kind of comes in, um, this is when it can start to turn into like a news show. Everyone's like going to be like trying to be the loudest in the room, you know? It reminds me of a really great saying that I love, which is the loudest in the room is usually the weakest in the room. And I believe that completely. It's often the quietest person in the room who's the strongest person. And that reminds me of the first gym I ever trained at in Temecula, Dan Henderson, who is world champion, mixed martial artist, Olympic wrestler, and really just a legend. And he would be in the gym and you just wouldn't feel like this guy is a legend. He would play jokes on people. He was super humble. Doesn't like walk around big chest, intimidating, kind of like very humble. But I mean, you roll with this guy, you wrestle with this guy, you do any kind of fighting with this guy, and you're going to realize that you're going with a human machine. So strong at such a high level and so humble. And usually it's the people that are strong who are humble, who are, have no need to show their strength because they feel secure. And it's usually insecure people who are going to be loud, 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 trying to get their voices heard, or try to put other people down. Okay, so, I'm not really sure what the core message of this video is. I'm sure that that message is going to come up pretty soon. This video is wrapping up now. But let's have a quick scan through my notes. Social competitiveness, people different when they're by themselves. As soon as a third or fourth comes into the group, then it gets competitive, egos activated, survival takes over, and this is what it's all about at the end of the day: is survival. People are cool or try to be cool for their own survival, so they have some friends, so they have someone to spend time with. It's even out of boredom. As a lot of time, there's a lot of people who get bored, and for me, boredom is just another way of saying a lack of self love, lack of self interest. Maybe that's what I'll title this video: Boredom. And see how many people can stick around till 17 minutes to listen to what I think boredom is about. Now, I'll save boredom for another video. But boredom is basically lack of self love, lack of self interest, but it's okay too, and it's natural, and it's a result of intelligence, I believe. And I will save it for my next video, but I believe boredom comes about sometimes when you're too smart, too intelligent. You've become awakened and aware of so many things so quickly, so you know things start to get disinteresting and you want more, something more interesting, something to keep you occupied. And that's like a drug. Yeah, I mean, doesn't that sound familiar? That's addiction, right? So as with all addictions, it's always important to do things in balance. It's just like eating. If you have a big plate of food and there's dessert and there's drinks and fruit and all sorts of salads, are you going to just grab it all and stuff it in your mouth and swallow it? No, it's going to hurt you if you do that. It's the same with knowledge. It's the same with learning. You know, get something new and then enjoy it. Spend some time with it, immerse yourself in it. And then do something more. But when people start to do too much entertainment, too much, excitement, then normal life, which should be just your everyday life, will become boring, to people, rather than it being amazing. Like I practice, part of my training is to just enjoy simple daily routines: washing the dishes, cleaning my house, going to the supermarket, getting things that I need, cooking, doing some work. So it's all, constant enjoyment. And then there will be treats, of course. But anyway, that's for another video. So going back to social competitiveness, let me finish the notes. So survival takes over, and that's what it's all about, survival. Who's the strongest, and where is your place and position in the group? That's important. I forgot to miss that. So this is, when people get socially competitive, they're trying to find their place. We kind of covered that a little bit. And it works the same for women too. Women are the same in their groups. There's competitiveness, and they'll try to put people down. And I've actually found something interesting that when women are more attractive, other girls can sometimes pounce on them and be. It's the same with guys. It's the same thing. So women and men both. This whole video applies to both. Who's the strongest, loudest, most confident, and it can affect your speech. People talk faster or louder. Yeah, so we talked all about that. People create alliances, politics can ensue. Ugh, I hate all that crap. It's such a waste of energy for me. And whenever I encounter that anywhere, whether it's at a gym, at work, you name it. Whenever I encounter that, I don't engage too much in it because it's a waste of my time. I'm more interested in applying my energy into creative endeavors, into growing myself mentally, physically. So I don't have time for all of that kind of stuff. I did when I was maybe 13, 14, 15, but not anymore. So let's see here. A bad leader will divide the pack, and there will be division and internal conflict. A weaker pack, though, and a weaker pack, fighting within itself. Good leadership equals respect, respecting everyone, and having a strong pack. And that's why good always conquers evil, I believe, because evil, darkness, all of that comes from fear, which comes from weakness, comes from insecurity. So that's where evil comes from, whereas goodness, if you want to call it goodness, is when you are whole, when you're confident, when you're secure, and that usually comes from being strong. So good will always conquer evil, but good will never completely wipe out evil because good is good. Because when evil's on the floor, dying, good will never kick evil in the stomach when evil is down. And so evil will always rise up again, and then good will have to chop it, just like cutting nails. And yeah, so try to surround yourself. Look, I look at self empowerment, or being strong mentally, body in your body, emotionally. I view that as two things. The first thing is being able to practice love, which is acceptance, as much as possible. Like, so if you're in a bad situation, practice love, and don't take things too seriously, don't take things too personally. So that's the first thing, is like working on how you translate what's happening outside. So translating it more through a filter of love and acceptance and being cool and easy. But then there's a second side to it, which is that we have legs. We're not plants. We're not rooted and planted in one place and we're stuck there, and we have to accept what we have. No, we have the ability to move. We have the ability to change our city, our location, and our environment. So I think it's very important to put yourself in the best environment that you can, whether that's around good groups of people who have good leadership, who have good, strong, dominant people in there who are, keeping a good, environment going. And the same works with individual people. So, like, if you're talking to one person, if that person has good energy, then those are the people you want to spend more time with. And I'm going to wrap this video up by saying, here's the moral of the whole video. So we came up with something, and what it is that nobody's perfect out there. Everyone's going to have some positive and negative stuff coming out. Even myself, I'm not perfect. I have negative and I have positives. But what we've got to do is more and more is focus on um, the positive in everybody. I know it sounds super cheesy, but don't expect like to just focus on positive people, because no one's going to be fully positive. Everyone's going to have negative and positive. So try to focus on the positive in all people. Okay? That doesn't mean that you have to like be friends with everyone. You can have different relationships with every single person. And the way you manage your relationships is depending on how much they energize you and how much they hurt, deplete you. And the ones who energize you more, you should consider spending more of your time with and creating less distance. The ones who drain you more, you create more distance. So you don't have to like have friends or no friends. You can have lots of relationships, but they're all going to be different. Some people you can be closer with, some people you're going to keep them, at arm's length, depending on what sort of energy they're bringing into your life. Okay? So focus on the good things in all people, and focus on the good things in your life. Okay? So, continue to stay focused. Be yourself. Don't allow other people to tell you you're crazy, you're weird, you're doing something wrong. Be yourself. If I had to put money on it, I would say that almost everyone on earth, is afraid of in some way and trying to do their best to survive, and most people aren't aware of the things that they do to survive. So some people might put masks on. They're one person with you, but then when there's a group, they're completely different. And it's just because of survival. They're trying to like survive. They want to have some friends and they want to feel more secure. But you should never derive your happiness from, all too much of your happiness from people, from friends and from family. Yes, of course, family and friends, are great, and they will give us an awesome sense of community and strength. That's fine, but we don't want to overly depend on maybe the ones we shouldn't be focusing on. We want to focus on the good ones, the ones that care about us really, that are cool people, that are honest, that, you know, are still cool when there's a lot of people around. They're consistent. That's where we want to invest in consistency, things that are more consistent in life. Otherwise, if your happiness is dependent on people and the attention you're getting from people, then, good luck, because it's going to, how consistent are those people in your life? If they're consistent, then great. But people leave. People have relationships. They fall in love. They leave countries. They leave cities. So I think it's important to have that focus in your own life, in your own goals, things that empower you, energize you. And then, yeah, dedicate maybe 20, 30% to your friends, family. And if it is worth it, then you can grow that 20, 30%. All right, so I'm going to go grab something to eat, and thank you guys for watching. I've been getting some interesting emails recently from people. So I just want to say that I do private coaching, and I am focusing more on my paid clients more. But I do try to like help people as well, and communicate with people and share what I think has worked with as many people as well. So if you have questions, comments, stick them down below. I'll do my best to reply to everyone. Otherwise, have a great day, and don't stress too much. Yeah, this is the world we live in, and we're just working on becoming smarter, eating a little bit of knowledge, but then digest it. Okay, and then we'll do a video on boredom next.